Hello. I will live 8 years less than you. It's because I'm diabetic. Diabetes is an incurable disease that affects a person's ability to produce or react to insulin, enslaving us to a life of blood sugar management and insulin injections, like this one or this one. Ever since my diagnosis a decade ago, I have injected myself with more than 30,000 insulin injections. But that wasn't enough. You see, the problem is I missed more than 3,000 other injections and miscalculated more than 6,000 dosages. Living with diabetes is incredibly difficult because everything affects my sugar. From food, activity, medication, the stress of TechCrunch disrupt, and even the weather. And although there are hundreds of apps on the store that want to help diabetics live better, yet all they do is provide us with fancy tools so that we can do hard work of logging details and then manually analyzing them or sharing them. Why can't it be as easy as when you have a scheduled trip and Google Maps would tell you you need to move 5 minutes earlier because there's traffic? Introducing to you Spike, the smartest diabetes assistant in the world. By automatically collecting details about your life, your routine, your activity, and your vitals, Spike proactively provides you with the right insulin tips and reminders with food suggestions. Let's jump over to the demo to see how our diabetic CMO, Michelle, benefits from Spike. Michelle has been stressing out about this pitch, and from detecting her activity and her stress levels through her heart rate, Spike alerts her to check her sugar because she might be going through hypoglycemia. Now, by scanning one of the patches that we support, such as this one, the one I have or that she has, and supporting more than 10 other glucometers, Spike would automatically get a reading that would tell us, let us see, indeed, that's 56. That's quite low. I think Michelle should have some sugar. But that verifies that she actually is going through hypoglycemia. She can also compare that to her stress levels, the temperature, insulin, steps, and many others, depending on how many devices she has connected. Now, for TechCrunch, we did something special. We added a tab at Spike for TechCrunch, which would mimic Michelle's activity of going to McDonald's, because there's where she would have food. Now, as soon as she would enter McDonald's, she would automatically get the top 3 food options she would have with approximate carb count. After some time, there's a post-meal insulin injection, or else she would be part of the $90 billion loss of productivity from diabetics in the US only. So she got a post-meal insulin injection, and now she would take her insulin, or sugar in this case. Now let's go back to the presentation. As for her guardians and doctors, they are informed in real time about her situation. But they are also alerted if unusual pattern is detected or something is wrong. Today, there are more than 2,500 daily active diabetics loving Spike. 87% of them transferred from other apps to use it. Ever since we started 1 year ago, 2 weeks, and 1 day, we have been supported by more than 10 international organizations and institutions, and we have been funded as well with approximately $250,000. Not just that. We're proud to have King's College Hospital of London as our medical and research partner, which led to signing a commercial deal with Medtronic. And then, the tip of the iceberg, Sanofi has partnered with us after they saw the impact we created on diabetics and the way they use their insulin. Now, to the things I missed, what makes us different from all the other apps is that from a diabetic's perspective, we understood that the problem lies before the incident happens, not after it. And this is why we're experienced differently. And this is why diabetics love us. We changed it from more work to less worry. And for diabetics, it's not just hard to live with diabetes, it's also extremely expensive. But don't worry, Spike is free forever for diabetics. We found out who are the people who care about your health more than you and are willing to pay for it. And they are insurance companies, self-insured employers, and many others who want to enhance your productivity. Behind Spike is a team of passionate diabetics, engineers, and nutritionists who have more than 13 patents in the biomedical field and more than 4 papers in computer vision and AI. Not just that, my team enjoys every moment in their life because we know that if diabetes happens, you will live 8 years less. So we have fun every day. Now, by the time I've told you about Spike, 24 people died from diabetes. 16 of them died because they didn't manage it properly. Spike could have saved them by doing what it does best, making diabetes management less diabetic. Thank you.
Judges.
Please. I know you two invested in something similar.
Livongo Health, we love it.
Exactly, 52.5 million for...
It's a good company.
It is. I love them.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So how do we make sure that we're not just another app for diabetes consumers?
Right.
So that, indeed, we truly make sure that the workflow of a diabetes consumer becomes a piece of cake. And they love it so much that they use it all the time. So
absolutely.
Have you proven that? What is it?
You know you love something when it's magical, correct? And what's magical is when something happens without you even doing anything. And this is what happens here. Now, Livongo or other players who are trying to help diabetics as well, what they do is they start with a care program of 3 months. Now, I've been through that care program, not with Livongo, someplace else. Michelle has as well. But that 3 months program isn't enough. What happens after that 3 months? You have a glucometer. You spend less than 0.01% of your time with doctors. And if a caregiver calls me every single time I have a hypo or hyper, I will never pick up my phone again. And that happened on stage with Livongo, not to put them on the spot, but they were demoing the product and the caregiver called and they were like, yeah, I know what to do, thank you so much, I'm on stage. And they hung up. It's interesting to have someone call you, but really your care team is your close friends and family. And they are the ones who would help you. And to do that, what we do at Spike is you don't only get a reminder for your post-insulin. If I was with Michelle at McDonald's and I'm part of her care team, Spike would automatically tell me, Ziad, please check with Michelle if she took her insulin. And that's extremely important. I think those are 2 major points. And there's always a way to plug with other companies like Livongo, especially since they handle the first part of when a diabetic is diagnosed or when they start taking care of themselves. We can come later on, for example, after that program.
So I have a question. Can you aggregate data? So I track my sleep and I use Clue and I have a training app. So I collect a lot of data. Can you get that into the app so you can predict my behavior, or is it only based on data that I enter into Spike?
Okay, here's the very interesting part. You don't enter data into Spike, so it automatically collects it from your sensors, your wearables. People will not use an app that they have to open every time and input data. At Spike, the 2,500 diabetics have crossed the 14-day period, which usually healthcare apps face because people just lose interest, or when they stop inputting data for 2 days, they just forget about the app and they're like, it's too much work. People have stayed on Spike for months. And the way we've been growing is people have been telling each other about Spike. Look how easy it is to use, just use it. And most of our users are in Europe, where we're not based, or know most people. But you can import data as well, previous data that you might have, and that might help us a lot. So yeah, and you can export your data, of course.
And do you... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Since it's literally a matter of life and death, how do you think about liability, responsibility, making the wrong recommendation?
Absolutely. It is a matter of life and death. And today, it's a matter of death. If we can add 1% of chances to live better, we will take that risk. But it's not a risk, because what we do is we suggest to you things that are not medical, so it's not prescriptive. We're just saying that elevated heart rate, some low activity implies stress. That means check your blood sugar. It might be helpful. You might going through a hypoglycemia, which might lead to your death. So having that right moment, reminder, alert is very important. We do something special. We're working with a psychologist on understanding how people accept suggestions and tips. So dependent on how old you are and where you come from this world, okay, you would get a different type of message so that we can better address you. But there is nothing like if I tell you check your sugar, that won't cause Spike to be telling you to die. And if you get a carb count, then you're the one who's taking the insulin. So it's just being there, providing you with that extra step to live better.
Can I ask a little bit about how you do user research or how you talk to your users about what they want?
Absolutely. So I'm diabetic, she's diabetic, and we're constantly in calls with our diabetics. So I'll start with a small story, and then I'll tell you how we talk to them. I wanted to test if Spike really matters. So I started this as a personal project. At first, I left being a CTO of a large crowdfunding company and wanted to build something for my health after passing through tough times. And after building Spike, I said, how would that make difference, you know? So I deleted the app. And the next day, I was out with my friends, and I forgot to take my insulin after having some food. And after 2 hours, I was sitting, and like, oops, didn't take my insulin, having hyperglycemia, don't want to talk to anyone. And that's the moment when I realized I really need this app. It's not I want it, it's I need it. We don't talk to our diabetics. It's happening the other way around. Every day, I have more than at least 5 emails of feature requests, devices to support. So this is one of the devices we support. By supporting this device, people no longer need to carry this. And this is the reader for this device. So imagine you were carrying a device, now it's just through your phone. We constantly sit with our research partners to understand more the numbers they have. We listen to each and every diabetic, and we listen to people who leave our platform. Less than 3% of the people who joined Spike left. And it was because part of them weren't actually diabetics. They downloaded it out of curiosity, and they didn't understand, okay, so an app that I don't do anything with, how would I use that? But the other parts, there was a language barrier, so we're planning on having Spike in multiple languages as well. But besides that, the satisfaction and the referrals, top of the roof.
So how do users actually use the app? You have 2,500 active users on a daily basis. What kind of behavior have you noticed so far?
Okay, so there's one, the actual logging with the glucometer. So some glucometers don't do that automatically. You would still have to do that manually, just like this example. Those 2,500 active users have logged their diabetes inputs into the app every single day. Besides that, there's also the food suggestions, where you can see more tips within the app. So many people have been clicking on those tips as well. And mostly, if it was up to me, I wouldn't want anyone to open the app if it was up to me. But this is the kind of 2 major things.
So food and push notifications, I guess, regarding injections.
Food, opening the app to view more food options, and inputting their glucose level data.
How do we make money?
How do we
Make money.
Okay, so there are many ways that we're looking at to make money. One of them is it's a freemium model, so you can supercharge the app with premium features. If you want to connect more than one device, you pay for that. If you want to add more than one guardian. But we sell that premium package to insurance companies and to employers who want to enhance their employees' productivity. That's one. 2, there's insurance discrimination in the world. I come from a third world country where I have to pay more than 3 times the average rate. But if that insurance company could buy a report after my consent about my diabetic life, and they would see that I'm a good investment, then they can give me a better rate to compete with other insurers. That's number 2. Brand association with pharmaceuticals. There are a million ways if you're saving people to make money, but those are the top 3 we're focusing on now.
So for an insurance company, is your pitch to them a demonstrable reduction in improper injections and misinjections?
So we've done A1C tests for the past 6 months. it's a reduction of 0.6. That's remarkable in 6 months. So this is what we show them. We show them that people are adhering more to their medication, but they're also getting better results for you, living better, decreasing complication costs. Now, it's only been a short time, but with time, we'll be able to have a more solid stand. And as we support more technologies, we'll be able to grow. And we were already in talks with one insurance company for that.
All right, give it up for Spike.
Thank you.
Great story. Thank you.